When Olympia entered the flat that evening, it was substantially past midnight. Her fragrance mingled with the faint aroma of spirits, adhering to her attire like proof she didn't care to conceal. She didn't even glance at me properly, just chucked her satchel onto the sofa, shoved off her high heels, and with a smug look declared, "Be appreciative I even appeared." For a moment I just gazed at her, the words reverberating in my head like artillery. Appreciative for what? For being regarded like a foreigner in my own union, for feigning not to notice the rouge marks on her bodice that weren't hers. I suppressed the fury surging in my ribcage. I remembered the pledges we once made, the nights we used to drift off holding hands, muttering schemes about a future together. But lately those memories felt like someone else's existence. Now all I had was quiet, doubt, and a wife who seemed more engrossed in her late nights, in the city than in the man she wed. Olympia paraded into the kitchen, grabbing a glass of water like nothing was amiss. She didn't even ask after my day, didn't notice the supper I'd cooked hours before, sitting chilled on the table. She peered at it, chortled quietly, and whispered, "You truly should cease." Waiting up for me, I clenched, my fists beneath the table, battling the impulse to erupt. Every late arrival, every dismissive observation, every justification had piled up like bricks, constructing a partition between us. And now she was brazen enough to ridicule me for caring. Her mobile vibrated on the worktop. I saw the appellation flash across the screen, Marcus. She grabbed it swiftly, too swiftly, her smirk receding into anxiety for just a second before she moved away. That was the instant my restraint shattered. I rose, my pitch steady but frigid as ice. "Why should I be appreciative, Olympia? You don't reside here any longer." She froze mid-stride, pivoting slowly, her eyes constricting like she hadn't comprehended me correctly. But I intended every utterance. This wasn't merely a dispute. This was the termination of faking it. Olympia's jaw tensed, but she forced a laugh. The sort people give when they're apprehended, unprepared, and scrambling to regain composure. "What's that supposed to signify, Jasper?" she inquired, tilting her head as if I were the one being irrational. I met her stare without flinching. "It means this isn't your dwelling any longer. You treat it like a lodging. Arrive and depart as you wish. No deference, no affection, and I'm finished." For the first time in a great many months, I saw apprehension flicker in her eyes. She set the glass down a touch too firmly, water splashing over the edge. "Don't be melodramatic. You're overdoing it." "I'm fatigued, that's all." But I wasn't convinced, not after weeks of pretexts of her chilliness in bed, of the manner she suddenly became too occupied whenever I requested to spend time together. Not after seeing her mobile light up each evening with messages she'd concealed before. I could even glance at the screen. I advanced closer, reducing my pitch. "Fatigued people don't come home smelling like someone else's. Aftershave." Her face paled. She tried to guffaw, but the sound slipped halfway through. "You're delusional, Jasper. You always distort things." I shook my head.
"No, Olympia. I've contorted myself into a mess for years, endeavoring to satisfy you, endeavoring to credit the lies, endeavoring to retain something that's already extinct. But this evening you granted me clarity. You said I should be appreciative you even appeared. That conveyed everything I needed to know." She folded her arms, but her hands quivered. "So what? You reckon you can just cast me out? After everything we've established?" I let slip a bitter chuckle. "Everything we established. Olympia, you demolished it piece by piece. I just finally apprehended I've been existing in the rubble." For the first time, she didn't have a retort prepared. The silence prolonged between us, dense with unspoken verities. Her mobile vibrated again. "That same appellation, Marcus." She peered at it, then at me, and I saw the conflict unfolding on her face. That was the ultimate blow. I indicated towards the door. "Go to him. You already abandoned me ages ago. This evening, you just made it official." Her lips separated, but no sound emerged. And for once I felt the burden lifting off my chest. Olympia's eyes flickered to the door, then back to me, as if she couldn't determine whether to oppose or flee. For years she had held the ascendancy. Her temperament governed our household. Her quietude chastised me. Her scraps of devotion kept me entreating for more. But now the equilibrium had altered. "You don't genuinely mean that," she murmured, her voice suddenly softer, almost beseeching. "Jasper, we can rectify this." I shook my head slowly. "No, Olympia, you cannot rectify something you never held dear. I implored you for sincerity, for intimacy, for deference. You gave me lies, pretexts, and a smirk when you entered past midnight. That's not a union. That's malevolence." Tears pooled in her eyes, but I didn't have faith in them any longer. I had seen those tears previously. Every time she needed me to absolve, to forget, to keep playing the gull. But this evening they didn't affect me. I picked up my mobile, unlocked it, and showed her the missive thread. I had already uncovered her clandestine late-night rendezvous. Her assurances to Marcus about departing shortly. Her gasp pervaded the chamber like an artillery shot. "You examined my mobile?" she challenged, her face flushing scarlet. I smiled wryly, shaking my head. "No, Olympia, he forwarded me screen captures. It appears your paramour regards me more than you ever did." The color drained from her face. She stumbled back a pace, her self-possession shattering. For once, she didn't have the advantage. I took a deep inhalation, feeling years of acrimony unravel inside me. "You declared I should be appreciative you returned home this evening." "You're correct. I am appreciative. Appreciative because your haughtiness finally roused me. You don't reside here any longer, Olympia. You never have. This dwelling, this existence, it's mine now, and I'm reclaiming it." She stood rigid, mute, the weight of her disloyalty oppressing her like shackles. I strolled past her, opened the door, and held it fully open. "Leave," I said plainly. And she did, without another remark, without another justification. When the door closed behind her, the quietude was transformed. It wasn't oppressive any longer. It was liberation. For the first time in a great many years, I could draw breath. And though the wounds would linger, I knew one verity with assurance. I hadn't forfeited a wife that evening. I had finally recovered myself.